Right now, Governor Hochul is making an announcement to address health disparities in underserved communities across the city. Let's go to that now.
This announcement could not have been at a more appropriate place than a place that has given this community hope and service and has been a personification of what the gospel is about, and that is 1 Corinthians Baptist Church. Who is pastor has did the prayer, Reverend Dr. Michael Walron, who's also a member of our national board of National Action Network. And the secret to his ministry and the growth of this church is his wife. Stand up, Dr. Walron, president of New York Theological Seminary. Several months ago, Deborah Fraser House and I joined with Rick and went and met with Governor Hochul and talked about the vision and need to deal with Choose Healthy Life. And before we got through the first 10 minutes, she wanted to know what could she do and how she could do it. And I've met and dealt with the governors for the last 35 years. I've not met a governor that was more ready, able, and productive and delivered than Governor Hochul has done. So what she's announcing today is an example of her partnership with not only the private sector, which we must give credit to Quest. Give Quest a hand. Because I can imagine it is that sensitivity when Deborah goes to a private sector company like Quest and say, I got Al Sharpton, Calvin Butts. It does take a lot of courage to go forward with that. You do understand that most private sector people would have to check it, but they've been all in. But Governor Hochul has said we must do it, and we must do it right away, and she did do it right away. Just like when we had the mass shooting in Buffalo. She called me and said, I'm getting ready to do some changes in the law. I want you to know. And she was the first governor I've seen to respond immediately with some proclamations and some governor executive orders. And she and I and Mayor Brown are getting ready to do some things in Buffalo around economic development. So I wanted to be here, even though I'm scared to be somewhere else, to say that this announcement, which brings Quest and brings a governor that's been productive and a community together with faith leaders, is historic, it is needed. Forget the politics for the moment. People are in real need. We are dying from COVID. COVID is not over. And the need for testing, the need for vaccination is not over. It is out of the headlines, but we're not out of the headlights. And that is the COVID truck that will continue to ride over us. So I wanted to be here to say, yes, I co-chaired, yes, I supported, yes, I thank God for Quest, and I thank God for Governor Hochul on this day. And I'm going to, as you know, I've got to be disruptive, so I'm going to take it from Reverend DeGraff and bring the Queen, who has done it, made it possible. Let me be the one, Doctor, to introduce the originator and the propagator, Queen Deborah Fraser House.
I'm going to do this quickly because I want to respect the governor's time. And I just want to say thank you so much. God has blessed Choose Healthy Life with each and every one of the people in this room. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton and Reverend DeGraff, Reverend Waldron, for allowing us the privilege to be here. And we're here today because we understand the importance of the trusted voices in our community. And we couldn't have voices more trusted in our community than Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Butts. And we are blessed that they've come together to sort of work with us to save our lives. We're here because we understand the importance of the union of the Black community and the Black clergy with the medical community. The union of faith and science have never been lost on me, and I saw what that union did around AIDS, bringing millions and millions of dollars, and through legislation that the clergy did themselves to ensure that the Black community would have funding to address that other issue that was killing us. We're here today because we understand that, chief among us, that we are being killed more than any other group in America for a number of reasons. We've got 140,000 children who have lost a primary or secondary parent to COVID. We know that we died twice as much as anybody else in this pandemic. And everybody says, you know, when are we going to get back to normal? We've got to get back to normal. Well, you know what happened to us in normal? In normal, we were 30% of us most likely to be obese. 60% of us were most likely to have diabetes. 30% of us were most likely to have hypertension. Black women were 2 times more likely to have a stroke. Black women were 3 times more likely to die in childbirth. Black people were 2 times more likely to be killed by gun violence, and 14 times more likely to be wounded by gun violence. We can't go back to normal. We died in normal. This program sets a new paradigm, and one that will allow us to choose life over death. That's why we say, like Deuteronomy, choose life so that both thou and thy seed may live. We thank Governor Hochul. We thank God for her, for allowing us the faith that she has in this community. We are determined to do her proud. The faith that she has in us to allow us to hire health navigators in each of these churches on the ground, to be an army, to go out into the community, to link our people to the health services that they need, to do these surveys of 15-mile radius in the community, on the ground, link the people in the community to the care that they need, do the education that they need to help women who are pregnant, to help around this whole mental health issue, to get people connected when Quest goes out and does the testing with them when they have hypertension, when they are pre-diabetic, when they actually have diabetes, and make sure that they can save their own lives. We will not go back to normal because we refuse to continue to die, and the governor has recognized that we were dying, and for the first time, we have a governor that's not giving us lip service, but actually is doing something for us, and we are thankful for that. We also are thankful to Quest and for partnering with us, for giving us resources that no other company is there. Everybody was writing letters and you know, when George Floyd died and saying Black Lives Matter, well, they also put their money where their mouth was. And so we have now a public-private partnership that we guarantee, because we owe it to the community to make this work. We've got Siemens, we've got Novo Nordisk, we've got companies that are coming in saying we want to be a part of this army that the governor and Quest and others are putting together to march forward, and we thank God for that, and we thank God for you. Thank you so much. Governor, take your place.
In order to set the table, you need to be aware of some things. When Reverend Sharpton refers to his radio show, he's a national leader who speaks to the country and listens 5 days a week, and then he's on cable TV, on MSNBC, on Saturday and Sunday. There's no other leader in America who does that, and so we salute him and his leadership and his clarion voice. Governor, each person on this dais is really a freedom fighter who's fighting in their own dimensions and their own battlefields about inequality. And one could even call them a Justice League. And if they're a Justice League, that would make you Wonder Woman. Because when we met with her, usually when we meet, Reverend Sharpton referred to it, people kind of sit back, they bring 1 or 2 folks. She brought the whole second floor with her. And then she had a list after we said what we want. She said, and after you do that, I'd like you to take on gun violence and maternal mortality and telehealth. She fast forwarded it. And so the woman who came prepared, the governor of the state of New York, that we're the #1 state in investing in the resources of our community. When others said that we're worst, you said that we were first. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, put your hands together in a Choose Healthy Life kind of way for the governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend DeGraff. Thank you. I remember the day like it was yesterday when the entourage of my fellow members of the Justice League descended into my office, and I looked at them and says, I cannot say no to this group. These are the most powerful voices of a community that has endured so much injustice throughout life. And Deborah, I am not going back to normal. There is no more normal. Normal is dead for this community because there is a better life that awaits all of us, our babies, our seniors, the moms who are so stressed out, just trying to keep it all together. So you have my undying commitment to continue what I learned at the kitchen table. And I talked to Reverend Al and so many other leaders about why I'm so passionate about this. And I was one of those children of the 60s. I might be around the same age as Reverend Al. We have to check on that. Maybe I'm a little older, I don't know. But my parents taught us, being raised in a social justice Catholic household, and we didn't have much. My parents lived in a trailer park, but you know, we used to get our clothes at used clothing stores. We didn't know, we just loved each other. We were a big family. But my parents taught us about Dr. Martin Luther King while he was still alive. Okay, he made sure we understood that when he came to Buffalo and he talked about the history of integration and what that has done. And my parents, as in their 20s, they're married very young, became leaders of a movement called HOME, Housing Opportunities Made Equal. And in this white working class neighborhood, they worked to make sure that Black and brown residents also had an opportunity. So we've been at the forefront even in a place called Buffalo. So this is personal to me, but it's also living the word of Christ that I was taught. And I know that if I do something for the least of my brothers and sisters, I'm honoring God in the process. I'm doing for him. And that's why we take care of people who are hungry and sick and incarcerated and living in fear, because this is what we do. This is our motivation. We serve God through our work. And that is why I believe in the intersection of public service, but also the power of the clergy and the private sector who step up. We come together. We are unstoppable because there is so much injustice in this world that needs to be righted. But I thank people like Deborah, who way before it was a popular thing to do to talk about AIDS. And I know you did it with my friend Hazel Dukes as well, because she told me the stories. Hazel Dukes out there? I can't see, I got a lot of light going on. Hazel Dukes, stand up. Mama Dukes, right there. Mama Dukes. Thank you, my friend. And to have Quest Diagnostics, Jim Davis, this means a lot to us. And I thank you for this engagement. Everybody knows Quest, but I'm going to continue to talk about Quest as being on the front line of righting the wrongs of the past. And you want to be with us on that, and to have United Way represented and all the work that you're doing there. And Columbia University and Reverend English, and I mean, this is a powerful group, and even bringing in the political world. Former Assembly Member Keith Wright, I believe, has joined as the county chair. Senator Cordell Clear. I mean, this is the intersection, but what are we going to do? We have the power. Okay, I feel the power here, but what does it really mean to change people's lives? It means to say, and I'll declare it right here at First Corinthian Baptist Church, I will say that there is no justice as long as kids are growing up in substandard housing where their own environment may be contaminating their little lives. Lead paint on the walls is an injustice. Going to a school where there's not enough teachers and the classrooms are crowded and the paint is chipping off the walls and the linoleum's as crappy as it's been since the 1950s, that is not justice. That's not the same environment those kids deserve. That's injustice. And then our young males, are we giving them the hope they need to make the right decision when they're in about 12, 13, 14, when they see their older brother involved in a gang and he feels like that's a family that gives him respect. How do we pull that young person and say, we want to lead you on a path of justice as well, because justice for this community means you're going to end up in a different place, and know that there is support for you, and we will get you an education, and ultimately an education and jobs behind that. And not just a job for this young person, a career where they can make a difference. We have to show them the path. And that's why I'm investing in violence disruptors, former gang members who are my friends. I worked with them in Buffalo for years. My husband was Barack Obama's United States attorney. We've been engaged in this battle a long time. This is personal. But they're the ones who are the validators as well. They can say, listen, I made the wrong decision. Follow me and I'll take you on a different path. And to help our senior citizens who deserve the dignity of good health care when they're older, or the moms who just had a baby. I have a 1-month-old grandbaby. My children are blessed. They will not worry about health care. And they know they are blessed. They know that this is an advantage that too many do not have, and we do not take it for granted. But I will not rest as now a grandmother until I know that every baby born has a good, healthy start in life, and that the mother does not die during childbirth because of the color of her skin. That is injustice. That is intolerable. And we talk about our immigrant community, people living among us. They don't have the documentation. They're still New Yorkers. And I realized that health care covered by the federal government and the state took care of a pregnant mom. But the second the baby was born, the Medicaid services stopped. And the mom was on her own, and she went back into the shadows, and who knows what happened to her. In my budget just a couple months ago, I said, no, we're going to have the state of New York step up if the federal government won't. I will pay for those services for the first year of life so that mother does not slip into postpartum depression. Someone who needs help, someone who helps her become a good mom and give that baby a better chance. And our senior citizens, over 65, if you have documentation, you have Medicare, you're all set, right? We're proud of that. You're undocumented, you don't have it. No one's taking care of you. And I said, why don't we show what kind of people we are here in the state of New York? Over the age of 65, we'll pick up that tab regardless of your status. So we're going to take care of them as well. So I believe in this. This is in my DNA, as it is in all of yours. You've all been called to serve. But when we can support a program like this one, Choose Healthy Life, and yes, it is derived from the Bible, I was asked to be supportive. I said, what do you need? They said about $3.5 million. I said, how about 3.8? $3.8 million to support your services, and I want this to be a model for the rest of the nation. 20 churches will be supported financially by the state of New York so you can continue God's work here on earth. That's what this is about, my friends. And I'm so proud of all of you who've stepped up and answered the call from all walks of life. And I believe that we'll continue to address the systemic racism that reared its ugly head during this pandemic. And if you cannot see it for what it is, just look at the numbers. Black and brown members of our community, fellow New Yorkers, contracted COVID, were hospitalized with COVID, and died at a rate 2 to 3 times higher than white New Yorkers. You cannot bury your head anymore to that fact. And the fact that vaccines, do we get them out enough to the churches and the test kits? I've taken this on with a vengeance. I have Dr. Mary Bassett. I brought her on as our health commissioner. She is heading up a health equity task force, and I said, you find out why. Because when I find out why, we're going to fix it. We're going to take care of this. And you, through this program, are going to be embedded with us as well with the data I need, the facts I need, but also the boots on the ground. And that's why these churches opening up, not just to talk about the Word of God on a Sunday, but to live the teachings of God every day of the week through this program. So I thank you. I am so grateful for what you are doing. And lastly, I'm wearing orange today because it is the color to call out gun violence. And Reverend Al, Hazel, and I were in Buffalo. That massacre of people shopping at Tops Friendly Markets, it's called Tops Friendly Markets, were my neighbors. I live 10 minutes from there. I live in downtown Buffalo. My husband lives there. I don't see him as much, but he's good with that. We're okay, we're okay. It's been 38 years, we've been together a long time. But he dedicated his life to protecting the people in those communities. And this was painful for him as well. So we left there, and I said, I will do everything in my power. We have just a few days left of session, and I know Andre Stewart Cousins is the leader of the Senate, and Carl Heastie is the leader of the Assembly. We will march together, hand in hand, and make sure that we change the laws that resulted in an 18-year-old being able to go into a store and buy an AR-15, the same kind of gun, bought by another white 18-year-old in Texas that slaughtered a group of children just simply sitting in their classrooms and two brave teachers. So we're saying here in New York, we will lead, but the rest of the states, shame on you if you don't. This is a moment of reckoning. History and ultimately God will judge all of us by how we responded to this crisis to take the guns out of the streets. And lastly, I'll say, this is not just about the shootings that get all the attention and all the reporters go there and there's attention for a couple days until the next one and the next one. There's been 230 mass shootings since this year started. That's more than 4 people killed a time. I will not take my eyes off the fact that New Yorkers are dying every single day in our streets. It may not be one crazy mass murderer, but they're being slaughtered in their streets, innocent children, people caught in crossfire, and that is why the blood pressure and stress levels of black women are 60% higher than white women, because this is the stress they live with every day. And blood pressure is high, and diabetes, and all these other health effects of living in an environment of fear. Justice means you don't live in fear any longer. So I'm going to continue working. I'm going to sign those bills in a matter of days, make sure that the rest of the nation sees what we do, and as Reverend Al has done with his voice, calling out the Republicans in Congress and saying, start going to the funerals of these babies if you have no heart. And then you walk out of there and say, I will not make the changes to protect Americans. You have done an amazing job, Reverend Al, but I want to back you up here in the state of New York, and I will continue to call them out. So I am energized, I'm motivated, and I do have my Justice League standing side by side with me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.